I'll edit it and everything too. Hi, I'm Douglas Griffith. I'm on my Truth TV tour. I'm headed for Ground Zero, which is where the World Trade Centers used to be. Anyway, what's your name, sir?
My name is Joe Pangrac.
Joe what?
Pangrac.
Okay. And now, how has 9/11 affected you? Maybe not personally, but how has 9/11 affected you, sir?
Just through the general change of laws, such as the Patriot Act, and it's now more difficult to get things such as a hazmat endorsement or a what do you call it?
Okay, so you're a truck driver, sir.
Yes.
Now, do you own your own rig, or are you driving for somebody?
No, I drive a company truck.
And who are you driving for, if you don't mind me asking?
JB Hunt.
Oh, you drive for JB Hunt.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm a Class A driver too. I actually applied to JB Hunt a long time ago. Anyway, you said the Patriot Act. So you know about the Patriot Act then?
A little bit about it, yeah.
But you know enough about it to know that the Patriot Act has affected your work as far as laws are concerned.
Yes.
Do you know why the Patriot Act was enacted?
To give the government more ability to investigate possible terrorist activities, but there are questionable things involved in it, such as does it give them too much unregulated access to certain private information, such as library books being checked out, things like that, things along those lines.
So the Patriot Act has taken away some of our freedoms, right? That's what you're saying.
That's what a lot of people say, and I would tend to agree with them, yeah.
Now, have you ever investigated anything about September 11, 2001 on the internet?
Yeah, I've seen the documentaries and things like that.
Do you know that it's on the internet that it was those buildings came down in a controlled demolition fashion?
That's my belief. I personally
do you believe that?
I do, yes.
Yes, so you believe it was a controlled demolition. Now, who do you believe planted the bombs in the buildings?
Well, that's a source of speculation. I personally don't know. I can only speculate.
Okay, just give me what you believe.
My personal belief is basically that it was another sort of Pearl Harbor attack, where it was either allowed to happen, like Pearl Harbor was allowed to happen, or the government had some involvement in setting it up. I don't know how much involvement. This is just speculation, of course. I don't know if they had any involvement, but...
This is your opinion?
Yes, it's my personal opinion, but I certainly don't believe that the official story...
So you don't believe the 9/11 Commission report?
I haven't read it, but from what I know of the official story, I believe it has a lot of holes in it. A lot of things don't make sense.
You know what I call the 9/11 Commission report?
What is that?
579 pages of flat-out lies.
Oh, I wouldn't disagree with that.
Now, why do you think our government would do something like this? Because I believe the same thing you believe.
Well, for the same reason that they allowed Pearl Harbor to happen, so that we could be drawn into armed conflict, in this case, with Iraq.
The Middle East?
Yes.
Okay, what do you think? So you believe the war is about oil? The Iraq war?
I think oil is part of it. I think another part of it was just getting Saddam Hussein out of power because the first Bush couldn't do it. They were basically, in my opinion, looking for an excuse to get into Iraq to get Saddam out of power because they saw him as a dictator. I mean, he was a dictator, but they saw him as, they felt that he needed to be removed from power.
Right. So you think you think 9/11 has something to do with Saddam Hussein, too?
Well, there was no actual connection between Saddam Hussein and the attacks, but the government tried to convince everyone that there was so that they could justify going into Iraq.
And we're talking the U.S. government here.
Yeah.
Now, what do you think about Israel? I believe Israel is behind the attacks, too. What do you think?
I personally haven't seen any evidence that Israel's behind or involved in the attacks. I mean, I'm not...
You're just a normal Joe Blow like me.
Yeah, but as far as Israel is concerned, I don't think that Well, I don't believe that Israel is involved in shady things as the U.S. government is, as far as concerning Americans.
Right.
I mean, Israel's not perfect. No government is. But I don't. Well, for example, there's the claim that however many Jews were absent from work on 9/11. I personally don't believe that, because I believe that was a rumor started by the Arab media to demonize the Jews.
Right.
But that's just my belief.
Okay, that's fine, because that's what I'm doing these interviews for. I want to find out what mainstream, the public, the regular Joe Blow on the street is saying about 9/11. And everybody's views here are going to be broadcast in my documentary and also on YouTube, sir, and probably Blip TV and other places. So, but anyway, so you believe like I believe. I believe it was a controlled demolition. I can see it with my own eyes.
That's what I believe the evidence all points to. I mean, there's too many things in the 9/11 Commission report that just don't add up with actual science, and also with what really happened versus what the government said happened.
Right, like burning jet fuel brought down the towers.
Well, that, or just the fact that they claimed that they had, Condoleezza Rice claimed that airplanes being used as weapons was something they never could have anticipated.
Right.
Yet it was actually proven that the Pentagon had not run a drill, but used that as an exercise.
Right. Do you think that? Did you know that there was a drill going on that day?
Yes.
With simulated jets going to the World Trade Centers?
I don't know about that particular drill, but I know there were war games going on.
Right.
That day.
So you're saying there's too many holes in the 9/11 Commission report?
Yeah.
Me too. Now I'm headed for Ground Zero. I will mention you, not your last name, when I get to Ground Zero, sir. And thank you for taking the time. And I really appreciate this, that people will open up and talk about this, because I believe on 9/11 people got this thing called PTSD, which is post-traumatic stress disorder.
Yes.
And one of the ways to get rid of that and to heal from it is to talk about it. And that's one of the reasons I'm going around I'm going through the United States talking about it. And anyway, thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
On September 11, 2001, I had boarded a train that morning from San Jose, California to Emeryville, California. And I was on the train to Emeryville, which is near Oakland, when I was listening to the radio, and obviously they weren't. I was waiting for any songs to come on, and they were instead talking about something that had happened. And the more I listened, the more pieces I was hearing. If I'm not mistaken, the radio station I was listening to was 94.9, I believe.
Now, how did you feel at that moment?
Just shock. I mean, like everyone else, nothing that big had ever happened on this in this country during my lifetime. So it was just a general.
And how old were you, sir?
It was actually 4 days after I turned 18, so I was just 18.
So you're a teenager, and you heard this on the radio?
Yes, I first heard about it on the radio, but it was just a general sense of, is this for real? Like, is this really happening?
It's mind-boggling.
Yeah, well, because nothing that big had ever happened in my lifetime on American soil before, so I was really just...
So here it was happening as you're on a train.
Yeah, and in fact, they were actually... they were getting the same information. I mean, they were getting the information as they were broadcasting it, so there was some information that came in initially that later turned out not to be true, such as some report about a car bomb going off in D.C. that turned out not to be true. And in fact, it wasn't even that long after I first heard about it on the radio that they were talking about some group that had claimed responsibility for it, which turned out later to be a bogus claim of responsibility. So it was one of those things where they were just giving out as much information as they could as fast as they were getting it to keep the people up to date on just what was going on. After I got to Emeryville to catch the second train to Iowa, it was at the station, just waiting at the Amtrak station when people were just starting to become aware of the scope of it. I don't know if that was after the second plane hit or before, but people were definitely all aware of it by the time I got to the